Hi everyone, this is Krista Moore with the Krista Moore Show. I'm very excited to have a great guest with me today, and her name is Helen Moses, and she is your voice and messaging coach. A terrific background and a wonderful subject for today. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to go straight to Helen and just give us a little background. Tell us about yourself, Helen. That'd be great.
Sure. I have always loved to talk. My daughter accuses me of that being my very favorite thing to do. She's right. I love to talk. I entered the field of speech language pathology or speech therapy. I have a master's degree in that after getting a bachelor's degree in vocal performance. So I've used my voice in both singing and speaking. And what I loved about my job as a speech therapist was working with the individuals who had barriers to communication. Mostly the ones I worked with were due to brain injury or stroke.
You know what I find fascinating, though, is when you take your background, because you, in addition to that, you're a distinguished Toastmaster. Also, you're a choir instructor for 12 years for the children's choirs, and you have a beautiful singing voice. I heard you sing once out on stage, so, beautiful voice.
Thank you.
So you take all of that, right, and this love for language, and build a business out of it. So basically, you're a coach by nature, and you're helping others with their voice and their articulation and their messaging.
That's
right. So we get to have her for the next 30 minutes and learn from her in terms of what are ways that we can change or improve our communications to be more authentic, to be more credible, to come across as more confident. So a lot to learn today, and I'm excited about it. So why don't you tell me, just kind of starting out of the gate, why is this subject so important to you? I mean, what is it about speech and proper speech and language that really kind of grabs at your heart?
There are two things that grab at my heart. The first is just my experience with the people who've had brain injury and who've acquired aphasia, which is loss of language after a brain injury. And it affects reading, writing, speaking, listening in varying degrees, all four modalities. I've seen it, I've witnessed this ability to have the most basic human communication, human connection just severed in an instant. And the devastation that it has, the time it takes to work on it, the families, it's so important to me that people don't take their voices for granted. It's very, very important. And the other reason that this is important to me and why I feel called to do what I feel called to what I'm doing is because as a kid, you once asked me about my 10-year-old story.
Yes.
In 10th, as a 10-year-old, 4th, 5th grade, I was a mess. I was not confident. I didn't feel like I had a voice. I was trying to fit in with everybody else. I was desperately trying to fit in with the popular people, with the misfits, with the teachers, with my parents, with my big sister, with anybody I could, but I never felt like I belonged. And I just suppressed everything I wanted to say because I was trying to fit those other molds. But
then you discovered your voice.
Yeah, right? I did. I discovered my voice and the power I already had within me. And I'm just like flipping a switch. I am no longer going to try to meet everybody else's expectations. And I found that abundant source of confidence that I want to share with others because everybody is capable of having that.
So that comes out in your voice and you're hearing yourself. And I'm sure that that has not only changed how you view the world, but how others see and perceive you.
Yes, people who have known me for the past 2 or 3 years have watched me on a particular journey as I've expanded my business and grown myself to the outfit that you're seeing me wear today.
Which is super cute.
Thank you. I'm a different person because I have mastered what it takes to feel confident, and I can teach other people how to do it.
Oh, actually, that just reminded me of something. The first time I met you, you had a T-shirt that said badass on it.
That's right.
So what's the badass story?
The badass story, I actually got that T-shirt from a friend of mine, CJ Scarlett, who wrote a book, The Badass Girl's Guide to Defeating Predators. But I bought it from her, and I immediately put it on, and I felt so empowered. So I've got now a collection of several T-shirts that say things like "badass girl," and I just wear them very proudly.
That's great.
And there's something about it that's just fun, and I want confidence is fun.
Well, it's interesting because I forgot completely about that, and then when you were talking about something, I remembered seeing badass on your shirt,
Uh-huh.
and it was memorable. Let's just put it that way. So that's great.
Yeah.
One of the things that you talk a lot about and write about and share on YouTube and different videos is this concept that there are really three distinct things that can make a difference in how others are perceiving you and how you communicate and in your conversations, and really can make a difference in the credibility that you have.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about those three things today and demonstrate some of it so that it might really kind of hit home for you and have great takeaways that you could start applying in your own communications and language. So why don't you start out and tell us, number one, what is the number one, do we call them mistakes or do we call them awareness? Something like that. What's
Something
the
like
number
that.
one?
The number one is, let's just start with filler words.
Okay.
So like, actually, but, and people even make up their own that become crutch words. These filler words are like ice cubes in a drink, right? The drink comes out and it looks good, looks like you've got a tall beverage full, and then the ice cubes melt, which makes the drink weak. And if you're like me, you push that drink aside, you don't have anything else to do with it. Well, the filler words are the ice cubes, and the drink is your message.
Okay, so I'm in my mind, I'm thinking your message gets diluted.
It becomes less credible.
Less credible.
People don't see you as the expert.
So that's my word.
Yeah.
All right, so is there a, let's help me, coach me on how I can eliminate that filler word from my language.
Well, the first thing I will tell you is that I notice you tend to use the word so right at the beginning of your sentences.
I do.
Therefore, instead of saying so, make sure that you know what the first word of your sentence will be.
So.
And instead of saying so,
well, I think I
breathe
do
in.
know. I think I do know what the first word is, but it's like, I think a breath could help, right?
Breathe in, because do this right now. This is coaching, live coaching. Say the word so while you breathe in.
I can't.
And you can't.
I can't.
Therefore, if you just breathe in during the time you would have said so,
Wow.
the silence is not as long as you think it is. You start your sentence with the word you intended to, and you sound much more credible.
All right, I'm going to practice that. You can be my witness today. I can't guarantee that I'm going to be able to get it all right, but I'm going to be very conscientious. What are some other filler words that you hear frequently?
A lot of ums. That's probably so and are probably the most common ones. Younger people tend to throw in a lot of likes and
What's with the likes for younger people? I mean, it's annoying.
It's very annoying.
It makes them sound so not smart.
Not confident,
Not
sure of what
confident,
they're saying.
not sure.
My daughter's 13, she'll say, it's like blue. Well, okay, is it blue or is it like blue? I question.
Yeah, you'd be a tough mom when it comes to this.
It's not good. It's not good around the dinner table. But if you say what you mean, just say what you mean. The word like takes that all away.
But it seemed to kind of emerge over the past couple of years to almost be acceptable way that the younger generation is talking.
Well,
have you seen that kind of increase? Or is this just
I don't
something
know
that
that
maybe now
increase? They actually have terms and things that I don't know what they are, and they probably use them about me all the time, and I don't even know. But the danger and the good thing about language, the double-edged sword, is that it's contagious. Words and phrases that we all use
makes sense.
Are going to be the words and phrases that we hear among those that we surround ourselves with, and what we say will become what they say. So surround yourself. So that was meaning therefore.
There's the answer.
But that means therefore.
That makes sense though.
Surround yourself with people that you like the way they speak, and then you will speak more like them.
That makes sense too when it comes to different dialects or different geographies. Or I know when I go to my hometown, I probably slip right into some of the slang that's used when I grew up, or maybe not using proper English because it's okay not to and no one notices.
Yeah.
I know there's a big difference in geography.
Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely.
So I never thought of it though as language is contagious. And when we were talking about using the like, I'm thinking of my daughters when they were in high school and not liking to hear them talk that way, but all their friends talk that way. It was just kind of the acceptable way.
And we've talked before about code switching. This is an example of when that can come into play. My daughter with her friends says like all the time and whatever other slang they use, but she knows that when she has to give a presentation in front of the classroom, she switches flips the switch,
Mhm.
and then she uses her more proper, more professional speaking skills.
Yeah. One thing that I was thinking about too in Toastmasters, which you're very familiar with,
Yes.
and Joyce is here and she just got back from Toastmasters today, and I've been in it as well. They will help you overcome those filler words by keeping track of how many times you say or and or add those filler words. And sometimes that awareness is really all that you need because you might not even know that you just spent 5 minutes speaking and said and or a
That's right.
gazillion times.
Awareness is key number one. How to find that? You go to a Toastmasters club where they'll count them for you. You record yourself and you watch the videos or they'll listen to the audios. You enlist a partner, someone you trust.
Mhm.
Point these out to me. Help me understand which ones I use the most often. And then from there, you recognize when you're about to say it. You breathe in instead. Cured.
What is number 2?
Look at that. Yeah.
I was going to say so when I breathe. Okay, what is number 2?
Number 2 is the use of upspeak.
And that is at the end of a sentence, elevating your speech higher, right?
Taking the inflection at an upward tone at the end of your sentence.
That's annoying.
It's annoying, and boy, does it undermine your credibility because it sounds like you have no idea what you're talking about. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
This is an example of upspeak. Hi, my name's Helen Moses. I'm a voice and messaging coach. I help you sound more confident when you speak.
And what would be the more confident way to say that?
This would be the better way to say that. Hi, I'm Helen Moses, your voice and messaging coach. I help you sound more confident when you speak. Go down the stairs.
Very nicely done. Good demonstration. I was just recalling, I had a client that I was coaching over the phone, and she had that inflection at the end of almost all of her sentences, and it was extremely annoying to me on the other end. I never met her in person, so I'm just hearing her communication tone and the way that she spoke. I was bothered by it to the point where I did some research trying to figure out, like, why is she talking this way? And there was some studies done about how it absolutely demonstrates a low level of confidence.
Yeah.
And she might be one of the most confident women in the world, but it was perceived as being not confident because of the way that that was.
Exactly. Think of it this way. The question, the grammatical structure of a question should have that upward inflection at the end of the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? What do you think? It's like when I sing this much, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti.
See, I told you she was really good.
But are you hearing like there needs to be some kind of resolution? Do,
Yes.
right? That's where we need that. So if you ask a question, you have that upward inflection at the end. It makes people want to
I'm
respond.
hanging on, waiting for the next thing
That's
because
right.
I want to
That's right.
respond.
But if you do that every time you speak, then people don't think that you know what you're talking about, and they wonder when you're ever going to end, and they think maybe she won't ever end, and it keeps going on like this.
Driving me crazy.
Yeah, stop it! Excuse me.
There you go. That's all right. That's why you're the voice and messaging coach.
That's right.
The other thing that I was going to say, but the number 3.
Number three is when we have misalignment. When we speak, we have a message, but our facial expressions and our voice or our voice don't match. They're not in alignment. For example, I'm really excited to be here today.
Great. Are you really excited to be here today?
People do that. They're monotone. They don't have energy. They come across as boring. They come across as not trustworthy. Look, if you want people to trust you, this is the most important thing I can teach you today. And that is make sure that you consider the emotion that underlies your message. My message for you is don't take your voice for granted. Don't do it. Do you see how my face did that way? This is like an urgency. It matters to me. I care about you. I'm making eye contact and I'm using my voice and my face to all be in alignment and make sure that you get that complete message as I intended.
And I felt that.
Yeah.
Opposed to don't take your voice for granted.
That's just a thought.
Yeah.
Or here's even better. Don't take your voice for granted. So there I've demonstrated
three or four different things in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I have a daughter. If she's watching, she's going to know which one she is. Sometimes when she's speaking, her facial expressions are expressing how she's really feeling, and she needs to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I think like she might be feeling scared.
Well, no, her eyes might be rolling. And she doesn't know that they're rolling. So it's not really aligned with what she's saying. So let's say that she's saying something maybe that isn't very nice. And she's smiling, but yet it's not matching how she really feels. And she knows we joke around about this all the time, so she won't be too offended by this. But I think that it's common in some people that if I'm talking to them, their true feelings are showing when maybe they shouldn't be.
Well, that's sort of
too expressive.
The flip side.
Or...
Yeah, if you're too expressive and that's going beyond the actual emotion of what you have to say, then yeah, that's also a contradiction. That's also a misalignment.
That's the misalignment. I was trying to make that connection to.
Mm-hmm. So whatever it is, make sure they're all at the same level. You don't want your facial expression
confusion. It's like, well, what does she really mean? Like, should I read her face or should I listen to what she just said?
Yes.
It comes across maybe as a little bit sarcastic too.
It can. Mm-hmm. It sure can. That's how sarcasm works.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be very careful with sarcasm.
Tell us about sarcasm.
Sarcasm has a potential to break relationships, to mess things up permanently, because you think you're being funny, but the other person doesn't. For example, this is actually a real life example that happened to me that I'm embarrassed to tell you, but I'll tell you anyway. I sing in the choir, and one of the ladies who sang in the choir was saying, oh, don't put me in the front row. I can't sing. I don't have a good singing voice. And I was like, yeah, you don't have a good singing voice. Don't put you in the front row. I never thought for a minute that she didn't have a good singing voice.
But she heard it.
But she heard me confirm her biggest fear, you know? So oh my gosh, thank goodness she actually questioned me about it. And she said, did you really mean that? I was like, no, I didn't mean that. But you said that first, and so I was just trying to be funny with you.
Sarcastic.
Be careful. Be careful. Because a lot of the
Feelings
sarcasm,
could get hurt.
A lot of the sarcasm is about, oh, we're having fun now, aren't we? But we actually are having fun.
Yeah.
If you do sarcasm, you do want to make that vocal expression, facial expressions, body language way bigger than they should be. If I'm actually having fun, so sarcasm would be, this is the worst day ever. I just forgot to say something, right? You make it come that way, and then sometimes it can come across as funny, but don't try it on a brand new audience.
Yeah, exactly. Someone that doesn't know you, that could take that whole comment very personal and different than it's intended.
Yeah.
So we talked about 3, and let's give a bonus. How about a 4? What's another area to watch?
Yeah, I would like to give you a bonus, and it's a hashtag speak to connect, TO, speak to connect.
Speak to connect.
A lot of people will be speaking just to fill the space. They are speaking for no particular purpose, no particular reason, and what they're doing is just paying attention to themselves inside their head. Oh, I like the way I sound. Or, I wonder if they like me. I wonder if they're going to pay attention. I wonder if I can do this. Oh, no one's paying attention. Oh, look at the audience. Oh, they're not doing it. Oh, are my clothes fitting right? Is my hair? They're probably thinking I'm ugly. They're probably all of these things.
Yeah.
You're in your own head and you have completely disconnected. And it's like, I'll hold up an actual mirror. It's like you're speaking into a mirror and it's all about you and you cannot possibly connect.
And you can't be listening.
No, you can't listen. Instead of speaking through a mirror, I tell people, and sometimes I travel around with this, I have a frame that's wooden and it's empty. There's no glass in it. It's just an open frame. A frame draws attention to what's inside of it. So if you speak through imaginary frame like this, then number one, people will be more focused on what you're saying. Just look what I'm doing with my hands. It makes people want to come look at me right now because I'm doing this. But the most important part about speaking through a frame is that I'm paying attention to you. I'm looking through the frame at my audience and I'm staying connected to you. I'm looking around and I'm seeing who's paying attention. I'm watching the head nods. I'm looking for expressions that might show they're with me or they're confused. I'm looking for someone who might have a question that I can answer. And as long as I am paying attention to them and seeking to reach them and to connect them, that's my whole purpose, is to connect when I speak, then everything turns out so much better.
I have a couple thoughts on that.
Okay.
We do a lot of training in some of this too, in terms of sales communications, listening, asking, uncovering needs, all of that. And when I'm thinking about just general communications, being able to be present, be authentic, truly listening, whether that's listening with your head, your heart, your gut, all of it. And then you're going to learn more and understand. And once you understand, then you'll be able to have that connection. So how would you, anything you want to say to that, to those of you that are, let's say, are salespeople that are communicating an awful lot and absolutely need to have that connection with their customers?
I would say know as much about your customer as you can, get to know them, take time in your presentations to ask them questions, learn before the conversation as much as you can about them, and pause a lot more in your conversation. I've run across people who don't want to come across as pushy salespeople. I think pushy salespeople are those who just ram on through their presentation because I've got to get all of these points out. You need to know all of the features. But the truth is they probably don't need to know all of the features. They just need to know enough to get them to the next step. They need to feel they can trust you to ask questions and that you have their best interest at heart. And that's the whole speak to connect concept.
And we teach to make sure that your customer knows that you understand their needs and their challenges, and whatever solution you have is going to meet those or help them overcome it or have business impact. So how could you possibly connect to all of that if you're doing all the talking and not asking questions and intentionally listening?
I don't think you can.
You can't, right? That's interesting. Before you came today, I made sure that I did my research on you, and I went out and I saw all your cool videos and this great movement that you've started over the past couple of weeks, which I absolutely want you to share with everyone. But it was important that if I'm going to be interviewing you today, to give the best interview for our audience so that they can get to know you and know this subject, I needed to connect to you. I needed to make sure that I was present today and not just, okay, who's next, and be all about me. It's not about me. It's about what can we communicate that can help our listeners be better at what they do in life. So
yeah, that's absolutely right. And I felt that. I felt that you had done that. I felt appreciated and valued. And I hope that all of you watching feel appreciated and valued because you're actually the reason why we're here to begin with.
That's right. Let's share a few things with our group. Well, two things. One, you have a big birthday tomorrow.
I do.
And we're celebrating. And one of the things that you're doing as a give back for turning 50, she's going to be in the club, is this special cause that you are passionate about. And I just want to give you some time to tell our audience about it. And I've learned so much about aphasia just in knowing you. I don't even know if I even knew what it really was before. So share with our audience what that is and tell them a little bit about your cause.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Mhm.
Aphasia, it is the loss of language that happens after a brain injury or a stroke. And it affects, like I said earlier, broken language affects reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And there is an organization in Cary, North Carolina, which is just down the street, called Triangle Aphasia Project Unlimited, and TAP for short, TAP for short, Triangle Aphasia Project. They are an organization, a nonprofit, who helps individuals with aphasia, their families. They have resources and support for the family members and the caregivers of those with aphasia, and they draw in the community resources to help support these people. If you can imagine that the last thing you say tonight is the last thing you're going to say, period, or at least coherently for a very long time. No one plans to have aphasia. No one wants it. I just believe that we should not take our voice for granted. And this is an example of that. There are people that had strokes and they've lost their jobs. They're feeling isolated. They can no longer give the gifts that they were accustomed to giving. And our society loses. There's a gap in our society as a result.
Mm-hmm.
You said you didn't know what aphasia was. 85% of our country have no clue. And that's part of my mission, to raise awareness of what aphasia is. And secondly, to raise money for TAP.
Mm-hmm.
TAP, I just decided I'm going to raise $10,000 for them. I haven't met the goal. I'm about a third of the way there. And I'm going to continue that beyond my birthday.
Yeah, and in lieu of birthday gifts, which is an awesome thing to be able to offer, is you can donate to TAP. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that our audience knows how to do that, and also to learn more about this disease. It's not really a disease, it's a brain disorder.
It results from brain damage or illness that affects the brain. Mm-hmm. The actual tissues of the brain can no longer send and receive nerve connections like they used to.
Well, the unfortunate component that I see as an outsider looking at that and learning now more about what aphasia is if someone is not talking properly or they're struggling with their words or their language, my first thought is maybe they're slow, or maybe intellectually they're not all there, but this is the opposite. They don't lose their intellect.
No.
This is just they can't get it out the way that they used to. And
there's so many components. It's true. That's not a loss of intellect.
It's like such a struggle for me.
It's, yes, and their TAP has a program called How to Speak Aphasia that teaches people how to communicate better with those who have it. And the brilliant part of all of this is that research has shown the brain and the neuroplasticity of it, it's always able to make new connections. So years after stroke, people can still gain new language skills and can still relearn how to give their gifts back.
Well, thank you so much for the awareness that you're creating, and you are giving your gift back by doing what you're doing, and especially creating that awareness.
That's right. And you can find out about this. Go to my website, helenmoses.com, and you'll be able to follow the links to get through, either make a donation or get to the Triangle Aphasia Project page.
So as we wrap up the topic today, what would you say is one thing that you would give our audience as a recommendation for them to kind of just be more conscientious of and to change up right now that could make a difference in how they're perceived and maybe their level of demonstrating confidence?
All right, I'm going to give you one quick tip.
Okay.
And that is posture. Posture. I used to teach the children's choir. I had them sit up at the very front because sometimes we would practice singing from a seated position. Well, when you're seated,
I straightened up.
Yes. Right. You want to stand up as much as possible. That's number one. But when you can't, sit toward the front of your chair with your back straight up. It allows your lungs to fully expand, and you look a whole lot more confident. Your voice gets an automatic boost. Think about this too. A lot of us are texting with our necks down here, or we're slouching, and we're cramping up this area which houses our instrument, our voice. The more erect you can be and elongated, the better your voice has of being fully resonant, fully engaged, fully present, and you look so much more confident. You feel it
so
too.
I'm going to be slouched down here.
What do you think? Who's more confident?
I love that. Okay, don't forget.
That's right.
Straighten up.
That's right.
Well, I learned a few things today, so I'm thrilled to have you here, and I'm sure that our audience is as well. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
You're like, you have this light in your eyes, like a really, really bright light.
Thank you. You know what Helen means light?
It does. There you go.
How about
It's
that?
shining through your voice.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Great. We're going to share some contact information so that if our audience wants to reach out to you to learn more about aphasia or to learn more about what you do to help others in terms of coaching and mentoring, here's the information on the screen. Is there any best way to get a hold of you, would you say?
Email, or you can contact me through the website. Those are probably the best ways to get a hold of me. But that number there that you see, you can text, you can also call, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough, and good luck on your journey with your mission, and happy birthday early, because that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Big day. I wanted to let everyone know that today is going to be the last Krista Moore show of the year, which is why we had 2 in a row. Actually, I have surgery next Wednesday. They're going to do a little more on my nose, and I decided to take a break after that one because I had it done in June and didn't take a break. So I'm going to this time. And I just wanted to let everyone know that starting January 2019, we have fabulous guests lined up, and we're going to be shooting for every Wednesday at 2 o'clock. So I hope you'll join us. Thanks so much for attending today. Take care.